Hi, I'm Dr. Kathy Judkins, and I'll be talking about how to motivate your children to do homework. We all know that for most kids, doing homework does not come naturally to them. They usually do not do it willingly, and they need guidance from parents. As parents, we are obligated to make sure our children do their homework, but often that is easier said than done. If your child is struggling to do homework, or if you struggle with even getting your child to do it, this video is for you. We're going to offer you tips to develop good homework habits. So let's begin by talking about developing good homework habits. The main thing to emphasize in this part is for the parents to establish and stick to expectations. The next 6 expectations for homework habits apply to kids of all ages. The first point has to do with your child's schedule. Sports, family obligations, and other extracurricular activities can quickly crowd your child's week. Some teachers give kids who are in lower grades homework packets for the week. So if you can, finish these on days when there are fewer activities. Also, tell your child why you are completing the homework well before the due date so they can learn to think ahead and begin to understand the concept of time management. For older children, have a calendar at home that lists when projects are due. Also, help them break down projects into smaller steps so they can steadily work towards the final product. If you can, get children to plan ahead and think about the future. They will feel more in control and stay on top of things. Also, a well-rested child makes a better student, so make sure your child is getting enough sleep. The next point concerns location. Find a clean, clutter-free desk or kitchen table. If your child does homework in their room and they have other distractions such as a TV, radio, computer, that might not be the best location for them to do their work. Children do not have the self-discipline to resist those temptations. They might say, "Oh, I'll just take a 5-minute break," but then that break turns into 10 minutes. And it's difficult for them to tear themselves away from doing something fun only to return to the grind of doing homework. If your child is distracted by siblings watching TV or playing on the computer, it's a good idea to have that time be quiet time for the whole house and have them doing something else like reading, coloring, or playing quietly with quiet toys. It also might be a good idea to vary where they study, which may depend on their homework. Children might like to sit in comfortable chairs for reading while sitting at a desk for writing. When it's nice outside, suggest taking homework outdoors, just as long as there are no major distractions. Speaking of distractions, let's talk about minimizing them in more detail. What do I mean by minimizing distractions? No TV. Radio and cell phones should be off and in the other rooms so kids are not tempted to send or view a quick text or make a quick call. If your child does not need the computer for homework, we strongly encourage you to have them away from a computer because the temptation will be too great for them to play a game, get on a favorite website, or for older kids to look at Facebook. Also, there should only be things on his desk or table that are necessary to complete the homework. As you can see, this child is distracted by a toy that happened to be there from earlier. Number 4 has to do with routine. Pick a consistent time for homework. If kids come home immediately after school, it's a good idea to give them a short break before getting started, just enough time for a snack. If your child has anxiety at school or gets more stressed out than the typical child, it's especially important for them to get a break after school to decompress from the stressors of the day so their mind is clear enough to tackle the demands of homework. Next, your child should get in the habit of going through his backpack every day. This way, your child will be sure to find any important notices that are supposed to be given to you, such as field trip notices or teacher notes. Also, if he has tossed trash or pencils in the bag as he has rushed out of class, he will find things more easily the next day if he has straightened out his bag. Then, about once a week, your child should go through folders and make sure he keeps only the papers he will need for future tests and get rid of old graded papers, especially if they will not be used to study for future tests or finals. It might be a good idea to do this task on Sunday so the week starts out on a good note. As a good rule of thumb, there should be no loose papers in a backpack. And this will force your child to really get organized and keep papers looking neat and not all crumpled up. So if your child says, well, this is a book order form and I really don't have a folder for it, this is a good time to label a folder called School Papers to keep miscellaneous forms like this and notes from the teachers or general notices in. Every paper should have a home. Some kids are not so concerned about physical appearance, so this new habit will teach them that it's important to keep papers looking neat. It reflects that he takes care of his work and takes pride in things looking nice, even if he really doesn't care. Nevertheless, it's a good concept to begin teaching. The last point concerns preparation. There are a couple of points to highlight with the idea of preparation. First, it is always a good idea to have your child prepare for the next day the night before. So as your child rushes away from the table declaring she's finished with her homework, part of her routine should include packing her bag so she's not running around in the morning to do this. Also, if she has an after-school event that requires an extra bag, like a sports bag for soccer, be sure she has that packed and sitting by her school bag. Also, this is a time where good modeling can come in handy. Show her how you get things ready for the next day, such as your bag for work and lunch, or your to-do list for the next day. The second idea behind preparation is to have them anticipate things for the next few weeks ahead. Have them keep a calendar in their room that integrates both school and extracurricular activities. Younger children will usually just like having a cool calendar in their room. And they usually like to write things down that they are looking forward to, such as days off school and birthday parties. And as they get older though, a calendar will be an important planning tool that teaches them time management. So on a week where they have 2 soccer games and 3 school projects, it would be more noticeable how crowded that week is when all events are on one calendar. And this helps emphasize the importance of getting homework finished earlier since they won't have much free time that week. So now we'll review age-specific recommendations. In the early elementary school years, kids will usually come home with a homework folder and homework sheets. At this age, parents will help kids with their work and make sure you have your child actually put their homework sheets back in their backpack. By 4th grade, most schools begin introducing planners or the idea of children recording and tracking homework in some way to prepare children for middle school. Closely monitor your child's attention to detail with this. Some children find it fun to write down their assignments and others don't take to it so easily and need a little guidance. Insist that they write down assignments, check it off when finished, and double check that they have that homework in their bag. If your child is not consistently recording homework assignments despite your request to do so, try to motivate him by offering a daily and weekly incentive. Also, if he is not reliable in writing in his planner, ask his teacher to initial his planner daily to confirm everything is recorded. Even if your child seems to remember the assignments without recording them, it is crucial for him to develop this skill because as he gets older, he will eventually forget to do something. I know very few adults who can reliably finish tasks without writing things down, so this is a good habit to get into at this age. If you have to give him some rewards for doing this to get him in a routine, it will be well worth it. You will likely only have to reward him for 1 or 2 weeks before it becomes a habit for him. Next, be a good role model. If your office looks like this, it will be hard for you to expect good organization from your child. Tell him how you keep your papers organized so you can find things. Get organized together. Finally, begin giving your child increased independence with homework. Do not necessarily point out every mistake on your child's homework. You want his grades to reflect how much he is learning rather than your academic performance. As your child starts out in school, you will obviously be helping him quite a bit with homework. And as he reads directions more reliably, this might be a good time to let him do more of the work on his own. It's very hard for some parents to see mistakes on papers and not say anything. If your child asks you to review his homework, You can say that you noticed a few errors in case he wants to look over his paper again. Eventually, though, it is a good idea to try and let him make his own mistakes and then review it with him when you see the graded papers. Parents should still review material before tests with their children so you can make sure they have studied and retained the information for those tests. In middle school, things are very different now. Children change classes for each subject, and they have different teachers. Good organization is key to achieving success. Middle schoolers need to keep track of more papers, and some teachers require students to keep their papers organized in a certain manner, but if your child's teacher does not have a set system, we suggest this one. Color coordinate their subjects. You might have blue folders and notebooks for science, red for literature, and yellow for math classes. Have homework on the left side of the folder, while important papers to keep, perhaps for future tests, are on the right side of the folder. Many high schools have block scheduling, which means classes rotate and only a few are taught every day. Procrastinating with homework and studying are usually present in high school students at some point. Encourage them to get their homework done the day it is assigned and work on projects ahead of time. This way they can have fun with friends and social activities as opportunities come up. The more control they have over homework, the more successful they will be. In other words, the higher their grades will be. It also will reflect in their attitude towards school. Also, implement all the suggestions we previously discussed for other grade levels, including having a planner, a monthly calendar displayed in their room, and good organizational skills. Now, let's talk about some of the most common homework questions we get as child psychologists. My child requires 100% of my attention when he does his homework. How can I help him work independently? The answer to this question depends on a few things. How old is the child and why does he seem to need so much help? It's common for early school-age children to require more assistance with homework. Once the child understands the assignment, tell him that you have had some things to do and that you'll need to check back with him in a few minutes. You could also try setting a timer and telling your child he needs to work by himself until the timer goes off. If he needs your attention because he seems to have a hard time understanding the homework, even after you have explained it thoroughly and in different ways, talk to the teacher about it. Maybe other children are also having trouble understanding the new concept. If it has been a persistent problem in a particular area like math, reading, or writing, ask the teacher if there is a reason to suspect a learning disability. If there is sufficient evidence, the school district can evaluate your child for a learning disability, or you can have an independent evaluation by a child psychologist. If the problem is related to poor motivation, you can implement a positive reinforcement system to help him complete his homework, which we'll show you how to do a little later on. A word of caution though, sometimes children with learning disabilities are misunderstood and misjudged as poorly motivated when it's actually a learning disability causing the frustration. So, if there is any question about whether your child could have a learning disability, it's better to err on the side of caution and have an evaluation to rule it out. The second question is, how do I stop fighting with my child and just get her to do her homework? In psychology, we rely on what we call the Premack principle. This is when we use a highly reinforcing activity to motivate children to do something that they are less likely to want to do. It looks like this.
Okay, Caitlin, you can go out and play today, but you may not go outside to play until you've finished your homework, okay?
The trick is to find a highly motivating thing for your child and use that as a reward for completing homework. If your child does not agree to do this, tell her that she cannot do anything else until she does her homework. She will need to sit at the table until she agrees to complete her work. What if you've tried these strategies and they don't work? Enlist the support of your child's teacher. Allow the child to suffer the consequences of missed assignments and see if that is enough of a reason to change habits. If not, try a positive reinforcement system to increase motivation. You can use something as simple as this sticker chart. This can help motivate children to earn daily rewards for completing homework. On this chart, you can see the days of the week across the top with the subjects listed down the left side. The idea is that a child who completes her math, reading, and spelling assignments on Monday would earn a reward that night. We usually recommend social rewards, such as special time with a parent, like playing a game, or reading an extra book at bedtime. Keep in mind, you may need some sort of daily communication with her teacher to verify all the homework was brought home to be completed. The third question is, why does my child skip problems on his homework? This can be a common problem for young children. Of course, having your child double check their work can help with this, but how do you get them to do it? We recommend that kids put a check mark at the bottom of their paper as a way to indicate that they have double checked their work. Encourage them to use their finger to scan the paper that every problem has an answer before declaring that it's all finished. Also, you can position paper to cover up other problems to minimize distractions on the paper. The final question is, how much homework is appropriate? The National Education Association and the National PTA recommend 10 minutes of homework per grade level with a maximum of 2 hours per night through the 12th grade. So a first grader gets 10 minutes and a third grader gets 30 minutes and so on. To wrap up, if you can teach your child to get into a routine with homework, have a quiet location for homework, develop good organization, and prepare and plan ahead, this will help him be that much more successful with his work. If you can provide close supervision as you try to get your child to develop these habits, you will likely see some great results. The key is to do them consistently for a few weeks before you can expect to see improvements in the quality of your child's work and cooperation. We also have a video called Study Strategies that reviews specific techniques to improve learning at school in an effort to better their grades. Good luck with implementing these suggestions, and thanks for watching.